It may be a stretch to say that they underdelivered with Super Saiyan 4 Goku, but this unit could not surpass LR SDR GT Duo, LR Orange Piccolo, or LR Bulma on release. Yes, Bulma and Piccolo were absolutely insane in 2023. I mean, Piccolo by the end of the year was still the #1 LR in the entire game, and Bulma was not far behind them. But Super Saiyan 4 Goku is a big main celebration unit, as he was the headliner for the Tanabata celebration, and he's a DFE LR, and he couldn't surpass a Golden Week Part 2 LR and then a New Year's DFE. That just shows you how much more they could have done with him. It doesn't mean he wasn't good, but he definitely did not deliver the same way those two did, and was even worse as he aged out very quickly. By the time the 9th anniversary came, he was done for. He did give a little sparks of life from the LR Fizz trio, and then the AGL Super Saiyan 4 Goku that came out, but there was so much more that should have been done with this unit that would have made him last just a tiny bit longer. And you could see it. A lot of people talk about the fact that, oh, I love that unit. Oh, that unit is awesome. Oh, he's so amazing. You know, you can see the screenshot right here. He's one of the most viewed animations for a Dokkan Battle unit of all time, with a whopping 650k plus. Insane amount of viewership for this unit. And again, he deserved it. His animations are awesome. Super Saiyan 4 Goku is peak. But again, they could have just done more to make him even a hyper unit to remember by, because of his animations. And if he was insanely good, my gosh, he would have been a slam dunk pick for this celebration. We Saiyans have no what? We Saiyans have no what? Alright, you know how to do that. And the reason why we had to do that is because we're talking about LR AGL Vegeta Blue as our next unit. He was one of the other most hyped units to come out in Dokkan history, a fusing Vegeta Blue with pretty good animations. His base form was debatable between most, but at least Vegeta Blue had some decent animations. And he was the first unit to have a Dokkan Original that was labeled a Dokkan Original, and so he was a very hyped unit due to that. But of course, they underdelivered with his kit and the transformation condition, just not a great overall execution of the unit, which sucks because, again, a lot of people were looking forward to a fusing Vegeta Blue, and they did it. I mean, he was, again, his animations are one of the most viewed in Dokkan history, whether that be because they were hyped, or whether because they saw the Dokkan Original, or because he became a meme and so a lot of people watched it further on. But he was still a unit that garnered a lot of attention into Dokkan, and the fact that he fell behind his other counterpart with LR Tech Fusion Zamasu, GT Duo, Orange Piccolo, Bulma, and then even 2 weeks after, Future Gohan jumped him too. It just seemed like they underdelivered heavily with Vegeta Blue, when he should have been probably the star of the celebration. Now granted, I'm not mad about Future Gohan being a good unit, don't get me wrong. In fact, if they wanted to make Future Gohan better than Vegeta Blue, that is fine. But the issue is Vegeta Blue should have been better than everyone else before Future Gohan came out. That's just my opinion. I think they could have done just a tiny bit more with him, made his intro last for 6 turns, so that you guarantee fuse into Vegito, and you're still able to use the duo in base form without just having to die because you didn't fuse on turn 5. No to Amatsu, never advertise a unit like this again. LR Fizz Fraudhan has to be the most criminal way we've been edged on in Dokkan history. They showed us his card art with a beast on it. They spelt out beast heading into the celebration, and all of that does not matter if you want to know why. Because they released a Ultimate Gohan that had an active skill attack as Beast Gohan, and that's it. That was our Beast Gohan. That has got to be the worst blue ball in Dokkan history. It is atrociously bad what they did to us, and it would have been okay-ish if they'd then released a Gohan, that Gohan, and made him cracked like Orange Piccolo. Because Orange Piccolo kind of did the same thing to us too, right? They showed us the Orange Piccolo. We knew that it was probably going to be a transforming unit. So, okay, cool, Orange Piccolo, you know, you get to use him, you know, whatever. And, you know, Power Awakened Piccolo was not, he did not transform into Orange Piccolo, but you still got to use him because he was a giant form at least. So there was some kind of transforming aspect to the unit, which made it feel a little better. So, but still, the reason why everyone looks back so fondly on Orange Piccolo is because he's an absolute juggernaut that lasted for forever. That's why that unit was amazing. You can see Gohan's animations right here. They did really well. I mean, not as good as the other two, but they did really well. So you know everyone was ready and very hyped to see this transforming LR Beast Gohan. But underdelivered because he wasn't a transforming LR Beast Gohan, and it's just awful. And I really don't know how people defend this unit, because he's heavy on RNG and needs ki, but he struggles to get any ki, because he needs his ki to super so that he can build up his stats for each super he does, but in order to do that, he needs ki, which he struggles with, and he didn't get a better partner until LR STR Beast Gohan came out. And by then, he was already almost fodder, but he could kind of be used, but it was still a really bad release. In fact, he was probably one of the worst LRs to release that year. I waited for this unit for 10 years, and so did many other people. The last Universe 6 versus Universe 7 Blue Kaioken Goku we got was the first year of this game, and his animations were, well, at the time amazing, now not so much. So when they finally announced TEQ Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken and hit for Golden Week, oh my gosh, I was so hyped. I was like, dude, they fulfilled my wish. They did it for Golden Week. I am so happy right now. And he's meh. Look, I am one of his biggest defenders, and I cannot argue that he's almost out of the top 10 already. A lot of people will say he's already out of the top 10, but dude, it's not good. That's all I will say. His animations video eclipsed a good amount of views, as you can see on the screenshot here, but it's, not compared to the other three we just talked about, but for just 2 months, that's an incredible amount of viewership, and again, he's one of the higher ones of all time on this list for Dokkan units, and you could tell how many people really wanted this unit, and can you blame them? He's the definition of aura and hype moments. It's an aura stacked on an aura, and it looks cool. Of course, everyone's hyped for that, but the problem is, of course, he just was not that good. He is usable, he can hit hard, he can tank, but he's not dominant, and that's the issue, I think. The problem is when you're making a unit that's supposed to be hype, and it's a Goku for crying out loud, he needs to be really good, especially a Golden Week unit. Again, if he was a monthly Dokkan Fest, I don't think anybody would complain about what he's doing, but as a Golden Week unit, I understand people's frustrations. His animations were very good though, and his battle motion is insanely peak. I mean, probably my favorite in the entire game. Maybe that might be a reach, but his is still really good. And I just think that there's a lot of things they did right with him, especially with the aesthetic part of this unit. But when it came down to performance, he just did not deliver. And it doesn't help that he needs help from reps in Universe 7, and they're just not good right now in this meta. I am pretty shocked that this unit eclipsed over 150,000 views on their animation preview. I'm talking about the LR AGL Cooler Bros that released for the Part 2 of the Worldwide Download Celebration in 2022. Their animations were amazing. Some of the best animations they've done in the history of this game, and you can tell by how much people love them, but they just did not deliver on their kit. In order for them to become good, they needed to activate their morale boost, which was almost impossible to get. And if you didn't get it, they had no defense and did no damage. They were essentially fodder. They were worse than LR Fizz Fraudhon that year. It's a pretty hard feat to do, and they did it. What's even worse is they're a Dokkan Fest LR, so you would expect them to be super dominant. But again, just like Fraudhon, at the Dokkan Fest LR, they both did not deliver, and they're both some of the most underwhelming Dokkan Fest LRs to ever release in the history of the game. It's even worse that one of their active skill is locked behind the morale boost mechanic, and it looks amazing. It has a KO screen and everything, but it's almost impossible to see due to how hard it is to get those conditions to be fulfilled. You want to know another unit that absolutely shocked me of being one of the most viewed animation videos in Dokkan history? LR AGL Ultimate Gohan. This is a unit a lot of people, they are cool with him being the Part 2 LR, but a lot of people weren't really happy that he wasn't good. Like, he was okay, but he was worse than Bulma, who released last year for Golden Week Part 2 LR, and the Majin Buu Saga team, especially TEQ Ultimate Gohan, really needed him to be a lot better than he was. He was usable, don't get me wrong, especially if he activated his active skill. He was able to survive that turn, and Gohan in the TEQ one looked absolutely amazing next to AGL Ultimate Gohan with his active skill up. On top of that, AGL Ultimate Gohan could tank fairly well if you got enough super attacks to fall into your favor, but of course, if you only did 1 or 2 supers that turn, he does not look impressive at all. Perhaps it's just because he's just a very hyped character overall, that he got this many views, but he just was not amazing. His damage wasn't high, his defense was fairly meh, and he relied so much on RNG, or he was just dead. Just overall, again, if you're talking about one of the better units to release for a Yellow Point LR, he was not one of them. I mean, of course, he still was one of the top Yellow Point LRs in the game, but the fact that he got overshadowed by one that came out exactly 1 year ago, it just shows you how much more they could have done, but they didn't do. The final unit I want to talk about today is TEQ Bardock. This is another unit that shocked me for how many views he got on his animation preview. Look, I know Bardock is a hype character, but he's a monthly Dokkan Fest unit. Even LR STR Cell Max wasn't this high on the list, and that's insane, because a lot of people were going crazy for the fact that STR Cell Max was finally in the game, and his animations looked good, and he was busted, but TEQ Bardock eclipsed them in terms of how much views they got. He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't amazing. TEQ Bardock relied heavily on stats for everything else he could do, and then he had a scouter which did help, but once the scouter was gone, he kind of was a sitting duck. I just don't love units that rely solely on stats. If only their stats were good enough, then sure, right? Like Kefla's a good example of this. TEQ Kefla has dodge, yes, but if you just build her up enough, she can just double-digit tank any boss with pure stats alone. TEQ Bardock could not do the same. He was good, but again, if we're talking about like very dominant and helping to justify the hype he got, it just did not match. He could have been like a top 3 or 2 TUR, and then we're going to be having a different conversation here, but he just was not that when he came out, which sucks for a unit that a lot of people were actually pretty happy about. And his animations are amazing. His intro animation is one of the most iconic in the game's history. His active skill is really well done, and his super attack's pretty good too. But again, Bardock definitely deserved a little more justice than they gave him here. And in fact, I think Bardock deserves to be a top 1 TUR eventually. I don't recall if his AGL one did eclipse that, he might have, but I think Bardock deserves real justice, and he is a character that can deliver if they made him really good.